So there are a lot of advantages and disadvantages to agency versus private adoption. At the time when we started adoption, using an agency was really helpful because we did kind of need someone to hold our hand and show us the way, and it felt a little bit safer. If something went wrong, we could kind of give it to the agency to deal with. With private adoption, I felt like we were learning to ride a bike and we took the training wheels off. So it gives you a lot of freedom and you can do a lot of things when you don't have the training wheels on, but it also means it's a little riskier. You might fall a little bit harder. Ultimately, I think, I don't even know, because I loved our private adoption, but I think our agency adoption enabled us to be more confident with our private adoption.
I see that quite a bit, actually, where maybe the first adoption that a family does, they do through an agency, and then a second or third, they'll end up doing a private adoption for different reasons. I think some of the advantages, like you said, where you do have a little bit more freedom. Sometimes agencies have policies that might have some good meanings to them and some good backup to them as far as why they have the policy, but they might not fit your family. Some agencies have limits on, if you have a certain amount of children, you can't adopt anymore through them, or they really control the process of making sure that they're involved in all of the contact that you have with the birth parents and things like that. And that you may want that, whereas I've adopted 3 kids and we have really open relationships. I don't necessarily, unless I feel like I need someone to be an intermediary because of specific situations, I don't need that. I can handle that on my own for the most part. And I have the resources if I need somebody to help me outside of having to pay $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 to just pay somebody, a little bit to help me. I think that's one of the things that people don't understand about private adoption as much is you can get the help that you need. Mm-hmm. You can get some of that hand-holding. You can find somebody to do this service here and this service there. And I think attorneys, can do a lot more than even couples ask of them a lot.
Yeah, and I've always told everybody, look, it's the difference. Having an agency versus doing it yourself is the difference between having shocks in a car and having no shocks in a car. You will feel every bump in the road when you're doing a private placement or a private direct placement adoption, and as opposed to an agency. An agency seems to really give the cushion in there that a lot of people feel like they need, and that security that you were just discussing. But I think that the key to success in doing a private adoption, a private direct placement adoption, is to have a good attorney and a good person to do the home studying, to take the relinquishments and so forth.
So you still have to have a home study even if you go with the attorney. I was wondering.
Yeah,
I didn't know.
but I mean, like you said, having a good team to help you is very important, and having access to your attorney is super important. Not just the staff, but the attorney, him or herself, during that process, because there will be things that will come up during the weekend, and if you don't have access to an attorney and you got to make a decision, you might make the wrong decision, and that's a problem. So we have done that always. We've made sure that the clients have had our cell phone numbers and call us even on Christmas. And believe me, I've handled many phone calls on Christmas.
That saved us, was just making sure that we were the agency. An agency has lots of people. They have attorneys, they have caseworkers, they have medical professionals, they have mental health professionals. Mm-hmm. So we tried really hard to fill those gaps ourselves and make sure that we were being ethical and treating our birth mom well and making sure she had all those resources. I think that's really vital to the success of private adoption. I think private adoptions, and this is not factual, but I have heard other people say that they're riskier and that they maybe fall through a little bit more. And I think that's because you don't maybe cover all those bases. Mm-hmm. It's really important that birth moms still have resources available to them.
Yeah. And I think that happens because sometimes oftentimes you'll see somebody use an attorney that maybe is a brother or an uncle, or that says, well, I'm an attorney, so I can do adoptions, but they've never really worked in adoptions. People like Jason, who have been working in adoptions for years and years and years, are almost kind of like caseworkers. They understand adoption in a broader sense. It's not just this is the statute, and so we have to follow this and do this and that. Attorneys that work in adoption understand a little bit better the birth parent issues, the emotional and social issues that come along with adoption, and they have resources.
They have resources that they can refer.
They typically will know caseworkers. They'll know social workers that work privately that can help you to work through a lot of issues that might come up.
That's so empowering. I'm sorry. That is so empowering for adoptive families to realize that they do have the power to facilitate these things. You know what I mean? I think that you feel like it's impossible to do an adoption without an agency, and it's really not. You really have the power to be able to facilitate the growth of your family.
And it's interesting, and one thing I always tell my clients along that line, a lot of the times the birth mother will contact the client, and they'll do it at strange times, in the middle of the night. And I always tell my clients, you answer the phone. You're there for them. A lot of times these parents have a lot of things going on in their life that need help in terms of emotional help, and so you can do a lot.